Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is an online orientation for CIS 141. We are in the midst of this whole COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, and I want to thank you guys for your flexibility and your sticking with school and with class. It's been crazy, and we're going to change gears. You know, you guys signed up for a face-to-face class, but unfortunately that's just not something that can be offered. At this point we have to move online for everybody's safety, and so that's what we'll do. This is definitely not what you asked for, and we apologize that's this is happening, but we have to adjust, and so we'll get through this. I've taught a lot of classes for the last 15 years online, and so this is not new to me, and I can get you acquainted with this really quickly. And we're going to be fine. And so let me show you what I've done. This is the Blackboard website. When you go to Blackboard and you open up the CIS 141 Blackboard site, you come here, and this is the announcement that you'll see. We're starting a new module. You'll recall at the just before spring break, we finished up our second module, which was the Freddie module, and this one is named for Sam. This is Carly's friend Sam from the iCarly show. And in this one, what we're covering is the next chunk of the book. Basically, we did chapters 2, 3, and 4 in the second module, and that was all hardware stuff. And in this module, it concentrates on software. And so it talks about two different types of software: system software and application software. I have a lecture for you prepared over system software. That's chapter 5. Chapter 6 is over application software, and I don't have you guys read that one. I don't make you guys take tests over that one, because we use lots of different application software programs throughout the semester. We use we use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel in the SAM projects. I'm going to teach you how to make websites in the next module, and we'll be using applications for that. So there's lots of different applications we use throughout the semester, and I don't feel like it's necessary to make you read that particular chapter. So from this chunk of the book, we concentrate on the system software. That's the most foreign thing for most students. They've usually not interacted with the whole idea of system software before. So that should be the weirdest part of this module for you. Now we also look at some more security. We also look at intellectual property protections, which I love. I mean, I wish I could teach more on it than I get to, but we're going to be talking about copyrights and trademarks and patents and trade secrets and how all of those tie into technology. And so the material that I present you about intellectual property protections comes from a couple of the IP lawyers in Bowling Green, the intellectual property lawyers in Bowling Green. They came and spoke to classes for me back in 2017, and they let me have their material, and I took lots and lots of notes, and I've continued to stay in contact with them and be friends with them. And so what I'm presenting to you is stuff that I've gotten from those intellectual property attorneys. I think that some of you may go on after college to create intellectual property, which you would then need to protect with copyrights, trademarks, or patents. And so this is stuff I think could really come in handy for you, and so that's stuff that we cover in this module. Lastly, I have a spreadsheet boot camp for you. It's mentioned right here on the announcement. It's not the spreadsheet boot camp I would have given you in person. I have a longer spreadsheet boot camp I would have taught you in person, but I have this one already recorded and ready to go from basically from a summer class from the past. And so I'm going to go with this one. So that's application software, by the way. So that's what we're learning about in this module. And so let me show you how you do it. So online learning is very different than face-to-face. And if you've never taken an online class, and I think some of you probably have not done that before, it's really important that you make a calendar and a schedule, a routine, and stick to it. And that's the hardest part of online, is because you wake up and go, hey, I'm going to hang out and watch Netflix, or I'm going to go out and go jogging, or I'm going to do this or that. It's really easy to not do your work. And so set up a regimen, and You may even want to take the time that you were going to devote to this particular class on that particular day and just do it then. I mean, whatever works for you, come up with a routine, with a regimen, and then make yourself stick to it. Maybe you can provide some sort of reward for yourself. Like, let's say you want to work out or something. Well, hey, I can't work out until I do my schoolwork, or I can't go and get a snack until I do this schoolwork. And so make yourself, find some sort of motivator for you to make yourself do this stuff, because sometimes there will be times when you don't feel like it. So that's what makes this difficult. Let me show you what I'm asking you to do through this COVID-19, this coronavirus adjustment that we're making. Again, this is the Blackboard site. You've got the class calendar page. If you click on that, you'll see that this has been amended. This has been edited. I revised this back on 14 March. If you open that up, if you click on it, it takes you to this calendar, which is really small and hard to read. So let me zoom in with the actual Excel file. It looks like this. Let me zoom in here so you can see this better. But let me explain what I'm asking you to do for the duration of the semester. Okay, so what you do, you'll see that there are dates in here. And let me get that guy out of the way. And so from March 23rd to April 10th, that's going to be the time frame we cover this SAM module. From April 11th to April 28th, that's the fourth module, the one called Spencer. And the fifth one is April 29th to May 8th. And these are the lessons that are in those modules. These are the same lessons I would have covered with you in class. We're not changing anything. There's one thing that I dropped out. There was something called the logo project, which I've removed. And I'm going to try and find something to replace that with. But everything else is exactly the same. The grading from the syllabus is the same, with one little tweak, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit. But this is the same stuff, so you're not going to be cheated any material. And we're compressing this, so you have like a week less to do it. So it's kind of, but we've taken some stuff out, so it's going to be okay. But this is what we'll cover, the order in which we'll do it. And the way that you do this with online, you basically watch these lessons, you complete these lessons. As long as all of this stuff is done by specific dates, then you're okay. You don't have to do Spreadsheet Bootcamp 1 on that day, Spreadsheet Bootcamp 2 on that day. When you do this is up to you. And so these are the things which need to be covered during each one of these periods. And if you look at these different columns here, you'll see there are some SAM projects which are due. There's a website project. There are exams. And so when are those due? Let me zoom back out just a touch more because I want you to see that the dates there with it. Let me come on back down here. So you'll see for this first few weeks, this is like the first 2 weeks of while we're doing online stuff. The only thing that you have to do assessment wise is this exam 3. And so exam 3 will be available to you for 48 hours from 3 p.m. on Wednesday, April the 8th to 3 p.m. on Friday, April the 10th. So you have 2 full days, 48 hours in which to complete that. When you do that, doesn't matter. As long as it's done by 3 p.m., Friday, April the 10th. Now, don't wait until, my advice to you, having taught online for a long time, is to do stuff earlier. Do it, the earlier you do it, the better. If you wait until Friday at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock to do this, Murphy's Law is going to kick in and your computer's not going to work and your internet connection's not going to work well. I mean, shoot for like Wednesday or Thursday on this. And it's going to take you about a half an hour, or it potentially could. There are 30 questions, just like we had 30 questions on the tests in the classroom. I give you a minute per question. And so that's what it means by a timed exam. Why do we do that? We do that so basically it means you can't open the test and then just sit there and look up every answer in the book. In the past, when I've taught, I've always had a 30-second per question time limit. The boss, basically because this has been so crazy and this stuff has been thrust upon you guys, we're giving you longer than normal. 30 seconds is what I usually do, but we're going with a minute. So you'll have, for each of these test exams, 3, 4, and 5, And those are the windows in which you have to complete those. They're listed right there. You get a minute per question. So if you started it at, say, 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, April the 8th, at 3:30, if you don't hit the submit button, it just submits it for you. And so whatever you've answered at that point is going to submit. So you keep a watch with you, start a timer and kind of keep track of where you are time-wise as you're answering the questions. And you'll get 30 total questions per test for exams 3, 4, and 5. So that's how the tests work. The next module is this one for Spencer. It goes from April 11th to April 28th. Those are the lessons. I'll show you what the lessons look like in a minute. At that point, SAM projects start to become due again. You'll see like all Word projects are due by April 17th. I pushed all that back. That was earlier, and at the beginning of the year that was earlier, but I pushed those back to April 17th. The Wix website will be due on April 24th. You learn how to do that during this module. So basically, if you started like on April 11th, you'd have from April 11th to April 24th to complete that. That's where you make a website about yourself. And then you have exam 4. We've talked about that. In this last module, this one called Gibby. Gibby was one of my favorite characters on iCarly. It goes from April 29th to May 8th. It's a short module, and so you get less time during it. It's just a shorter module. But I teach you about databases. We do our last bits of security, talk about the environment. You have your Excel projects. There are 5 of those. There are 4 of those, and there are 5 of those. So you have 9 SAM projects still left. So make sure you're chipping away at those up here. While you're working on this stuff during the SAM module, I would encourage you to be chipping away at these SAM projects so you don't run into these deadlines. But your 5 Excel SAM projects are due on May 8th, 3 o'clock. And then you have an exam 5, which is due between Wednesday and Friday, and it's online. You'll see where those are in just a minute. Lastly, your final exam is going to be available from Monday to Friday. And I have it from 8 a.m. on Monday to 12 p.m., that's noon, on Friday, May 15th. So you'll have that long to finish the final exam. One of my sections had the test real early in the week, like Tuesday, and then the other one of my sections had it like all the way at like Friday at like 10 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. It was a terrible time slot. I've never had a time slot like that late of a time slot with a final before. I was looking at it and go, oh my goodness. And so anyway, I spanned this thing out through the week. So you get lots of time to choose to take this final. And we'll talk more about the final as it approaches. But the final works the exact same way. You get a minute per question. And I'm not sure how many questions are going to be on that, but at the point when I make it, so let's say it was 50 questions, you would have 50 minutes. And so normally we would make you go to a testing center and take that in a proctored environment, just to make sure people don't cheat. But because of everything that's going on, that's not even an option. So, between May 11th and May 15th, you need to be somewhere with an internet connection where you can sit down for however long it's going to take you to finish that final exam and get that done. So those are the things that I'll ask you to do through the remaining part of the semester. Let me show you what it looks like on Blackboard. Let me jump back over here to Blackboard, and let's go to the lessons page. So on the lessons page, you'll see that there's now a folder SAM. This one is now visible. If you click on it, you'll see these are the different lessons here that we've already alluded to. The Jeopardy game is already out there. If you want to use that to practice for the exam 3, feel free. That one's out there for you. As you look let's look at, let's just go with intellectual property lesson. Let's go with this one. So intellectual property protections is what it should have listed that as. So there's a lecture. So you watch the lecture, and there are the PowerPoint slides that go with it. That's the PDF of the slides. And I used Mrs. Hagen's PowerPoint slide deck for that. Also, Ms. Kinley Ames is also one of the attorneys that I use some of her information too. But that's the PowerPoint presentation that I use. And if you want something, you just click on it and it opens up. So if I click on that, it brings up the PDF of those slides, so you could print those out if you wanted to. If you wanted to take notes while you listen. And the lecture looks like this. If you click on the lecture link, It takes you to YouTube. All this
Greetings,
stuff is out there
this
on
is Jim
YouTube.
Lindsay.
And you can pause, you can play it, you can pause it, you can make it big screen. You guys are used to that with the SAM stuff. So that's not weird to you guys. There are some links in here that support that. There is a document that she gave us talking about trade secrets versus patents and when one is better than the other. So that's where you can get documents like that. The supporting documents may be in here, and so on. And so that's what a folder looks like. And so for this SAM module, what you guys do, you look at the calendar and you say, okay, I'm supposed to complete. Let me just move this over. For the SAM module, I'm supposed to complete the spreadsheet bootcamp lessons, and then intellectual property and hardware concerns, and then chapter 5. So you jump into a folder, you'll see there may be some instructions like this at the top, and there's a reading assignment with that. There's your lecture link, your first one of 2. So that's spreadsheet bootcamp 1, and then there's spreadsheet bootcamp part 2 right there. And that's how you do it. So you come in here, you watch the movies. In this case, there are some PowerPoint slides. There is a Word document. There is an Excel file for each of these bootcamp things, because you're working with Excel, trying to get you guys basically really comfortable with Excel. So when you start the SAM projects over Excel, if you haven't already, you can go right into that and do very well with it. And also there's some really good business lesson stuff that comes from the story of Excel, as well as you're going to use this. I don't care what you do as a job, you're going to use Excel. And so that's how you do it. You go into the folder for each module, and these will appear for you a little bit earlier than you need them. I'm not going to put them all out there right now because you don't need them all right now, but that's plenty to work on right now. All that stuff in the SAM module, you've got a couple of weeks worth of work right there, so work on that. And as you have questions, let me go back to the announcement page. This is really important. I should have led off with this. My phone number, by the way, is listed right here. This is my cell phone number. If you have questions over anything, call me. I'm serious. Call me if you have questions, because we need to get on track. We need to do it now. And so as you start looking at this stuff and trying to do things, if you don't understand something, just call me. I'm at home anyway, so it's me and my children are here. So we're all doing the same thing you guys are. We're just at home trying to keep distance from every other people. I'd be glad to help you. So give me a call if you have questions about any of this stuff. Also, give me a call if some of you indicated in the computer survey that I gave you that you didn't either you didn't have a computer or broadband internet access or Office 2019, Office 365. I need to know who you are. Nobody has contacted me yet, and this has been out there for a couple of days, and so somebody doesn't have it, because I see from the survey that you guys did that somebody does not have those things. If that's the case, you can't do the work, and so I need to know, so I know how to work with you on this. And so call me. Again, there's my phone number right there. It's listed right there. It's listed right there. Listed at the top of the page, right there. And I put it on the contact. You look in the instructor info, and I'll put it right there as well. So call me, please, so I can work with you, so we can get you set up for success. I think that's it. Let me pause it for 1 second and see if there's anything I missed. One thing I missed. I mentioned to you a second ago, the tweak I made in the grading. When you look at the syllabus, and I'll pull that up. Okay, this is the class syllabus. You'll see that there were 60 points allocated for in-class activities. And we completed 30 of those. We got half of those done before spring break. And had we finished out the semester, you would have ended up with more than 60, probably like closer to 66 or 70 or something like that. And so, but we got 30 of those done already. The remaining 30 points, I went ahead and just poured into the Wix website project. So instead of it being worth, the Wix website project, which is one of these guys, instead of it being worth 25 points, it's worth 55 points. It's easy. You're going to like it. That's a good thing for you guys. We're going to pour those into that, and that's very much class activity, what you're doing with that. And so the remaining 30 points that we couldn't get from there have been poured into one of those. And so I have 25 more points not allocated yet, which I'm going to be looking for something to be some sort of technology communication project. And I'll have you, so I'll figure out what that is in the remaining weeks. But everything else is exactly the same. So, you know, the drop and replace policy is the same. You have the same number of tests. The tests are worth the same amount. The test, by the way, you know, there is no more written component of the test. Your tests or your regular tests are still worth 90 points, but all of that's going to come from Blackboard instead of Blackboard and a written part. So that's easier. That's going to be to your favor. But if you have questions about anything, call me. All right. And so you have my numbers. They're on that announcement page right there. And you're actually calling my Google Voice number. That's going to ring through to my cell phone. So when you call that number, it will say like, "Hey, state your name," and then hang on for a second, and then you say your name, and then my cell phone will ring and say, like, "Hey, so and so is calling," and I'll pick it up. So it'll take you just a second to connect with me, but there's my number. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later.